Well, good evening. A little pattern has developed here. We officially quit doing our midweek teaching, but for the last couple of Wednesdays, I just felt an inspiration to talk to you a little bit. So I want to talk to you tonight about growing your money in times of crisis. Growing your money in times of crisis. Well, why would you talk about growing your money in times of crisis? Well, first of all, coffee. First of all, when you think of the word crisis, what do you think of? Most people think of bad times, but do you know that crisis in Chinese, interesting, in Chinese of all languages, means danger yet opportunity? It's a double syllable word, which has two meanings. It means there's danger, yet there's opportunities. Now, we're living in times of danger, yet opportunity. And I think that a lot of people thought when President Donald Trump won office, everything was just going to be smooth sailing, because we're going to be this grand country and be great and all that. And I'm not against all that. I pray daily for the president, and I pray for those that are in authority, and I encourage you to. I don't take political points of view, which I see a lot of Christians doing, which I think is a big mistake, because anyone on either side can be right or wrong. And when you think that one side's always right and the other side is always wrong, that's a partisan spirit, and the Bible teaches that we shouldn't do that as Christians. Now, you can do whatever you want to do, and I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but I know people on both sides that get very angry. And when Scripture says we're to give thanks for and pray for those that are in authority, nevertheless, people expect the golden age and all that, and thank God I expect good in America too. But I don't believe it's going to come without going through some times of crisis. But remember, crisis is a double syllable word. It means danger, yet opportunity. So what I want to talk to you about is some secrets to growing your money in a time of crisis. What do we do? Now, the first thing is most Christians think we do nothing. We just let the Lord take care of it, because the Lord is good, and the Lord's got everything under control. Yeah, okay. But the Bible teaches us principles of what to do during an economic downturn, and we need to know what to do, just as Joseph of old. See, Joseph was told to prepare for the 7 years of plenty and then the 7 years of famine. So why would God teach Joseph what to do? And he actually saved the lives of his family, and I believe the whole world, because he prepared for it. So biblical thinking and spiritual thinking doesn't deny pragmatism and practical thinking. And I believe there's some practical things you can do to grow your money in this time. Now, first of all, let's look at something from Revelation 6:5-6. Well, thank you for joining me for a few moments here. A modern translation says, "Then I heard what sounded like a voice among the four living creatures saying, 'A quart of wheat for a denarius, and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius, and do not damage the oil and the wine.'" I wonder what he say. Why would he say that? Don't touch the oil. Definitely don't touch that wine. Okay, just having a little fun with you, some of you that enjoy wine. But what he's saying is, this is one of the closest scriptures to illustrate what we call inflation in the world. What he's saying is, a quart of wheat is going to be sold for a denarius. And a denarius is a day's wage. Imagine working all day and all you can buy is a quart of wheat or 3 quarts of barley. And again, I'm not saying that God's saying that everyone is going to go broke. but I believe that is symbolic of high food prices, of higher food prices, and everyone's been talking about that a lot. Okay, so what do? We need to learn to invest, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about investing versus savings, and I'm going to give you some practical stuff. Now, first of all, does the Bible teach investing? Yes, it does. Jesus said in Luke 19, 22 through 23 from the Message. I hope you're enjoying this. He said, "You're right. I don't suffer fools gladly," because the guy had said, "I know you are a hard man and you don't put up with fools. You reap where you haven't sown," and so on. And Jesus said, "You're right. I don't suffer fools gladly. And you've acted the fool. Why didn't you at least invest my money into the securities?" Man, that sounds like the stock market, huh? Why didn't you? I don't know about investing into the stock market. The modern translation says the Message, into the securities, so that I would have gotten a little interest on it. Now, some translation says my own with interest. But we see that Jesus taught investing and investing to get a result. And if you study this chapter carefully, just about the whole chapter is about money. It's the chapter where he said, "Occupy till I come," and so on. And he said, "Why didn't you invest my money to gain some interest?" And if you read the rest of the parable, it didn't end up well for that guy. Okay, because he didn't invest God's money. So say after me, God believes in investing. Jesus believes in investing. And investing your money for growth is a strategy you need during this time. Now, one thing President Donald Trump said recently, he said, "It's time to get rich." And a lot of people got mad at him and mocked him, but I really believe it is time to get rich, because there's always a bull market, even when there's a bear market. The bull market has to do when things are good, and a bear market when things are not good. Okay, for the investor. But it is always the best of times or the worst of times. It's a matter of how you look at it and what you look at. Like, for instance, right now, and I'm not here promoting the stock market, but the thing to do now is find out which stocks you should be buying and which stocks you should be selling, because there's still people getting rich in the stock market. And what has happened is many have been invested in these tech-heavy stocks and, ChatGPT, and I'm not putting down any stock or putting up any stock. But you got to know the drawbacks. You got to know when to hold them, know when to roll them. All right, now, let's talk about savings some. And here's the specific I want to talk about a little bit tonight. Saving versus investing. Why is saving not such a good thing? Now, saving is good in a way if you understand saving. But here's what Robert Kiyosaki said, who wrote the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Robert Kiyosaki said, "Saving money often leads to less risk-taking, which makes it harder to build wealth." So in one chapter of something I was reading from him, I believe it was an article, he said, saving is for losers, and savers are losers. Now here's why. A lot of people misunderstood him. A lot of people misunderstood a lot of what he says, but I believe the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad has a lot of wisdom in it. If you are saving, at what rate is your money growing? Now, I'm not talking about a special savings account where you have to have a balance of 25 grand in it or something like that. Of course, they're going to give you more money. But according to research, savings rate, the rate of interest, is 0.42%. That's less than half of 1% you're getting on your money. So should you be saving money or should you be investing money? And one of the ways to beat inflation is to have your money growing faster than it's going. If the money is going out faster than it's coming in, you've got a problem. One guy said, when your upkeep is less than your income, when your outgo is less than your income, that's how I said it. When your outgo is less than your income, your upkeep will be your downfall. So what we got to learn to do is deal with the depreciating times and deal with the inflationary times and deal what we call stagflation. Stagflation, before all this stuff happened, the Lord spoke to me, and some of you may remember if you saw some of my posts. I know some of you ignore me. There's that babbler again. But I don't claim to be a prophet, but one thing God taught is listen to my prophets and then you will prosper. So you need to listen to men of God. Now, if you're just listening to the news, boy, you're going to be jacked up. If you're just listening to any channel. In fact, I was telling a friend of mine today, I said I listen to many of the different channels because the Bible said the first to declare his cause seems right until another cross-examines him. And the problem with some of you is you only listen to one channel because they have your point of view. Well, how are you ever going to get the truth just doing that? Okay, so you got to scroll around. And if you scroll between the various channels, you say, man, we've got a divided country. Now, saving money leads to less risk-taking, and most wealth is built by risk-taking, and the Bible calls it faith. It's funny, according to your faith be it unto you, even works in the saving realm. Now, the stock market, let's talk about the stock market, and let's touch on why you should think about it, think twice about it, pray about it before you put money in the stock market. It has been said that the stock market will not be what it used to be, and the president has recognized that there's a greater way of building wealth than stocks. And that's what's happening right now, and that's why so many people are mad, and they're calling him stupid, and so on. And there's some stuff coming out even Friday about the wealth of America. And America is not actually broke if we used our natural resources. And you'll see what I'm talking about when that comes out. And he's trying to monetize the natural resources we have by changing the way we do business economically, financially, monetarily. And he's disrupting the whole system. And right now, there's going to be a little shaking, and especially with the stock market. Now, here's the deal. Most Americans have their money in IRAs or 401ks, at least middle class. You notice the wealthy people don't have their money there? Those are directly tied to the stock market. Now, it's already proven that the stock market is volatile, and the respect that we used to have for the markets is changing. I'm not saying it's going away. It's just changing now because even the president is saying, don't look at the markets. Who'd ever dreamed we'd have a time when the president is telling you not to look at the market? But because good markets typically imply a strong economy. If he's saying don't look at the